Good. So for this little sequence, I invite you to start by lying down on the floor and initially check for yourself. So this is the embodiment part and empowerment part, for you to work in a way that is good for your body and for you to recognize what's good for your body rather than just following instructions, is to check whether it's more comfortable to lay down with your knees bent or with your legs straight. Sometimes it's one knee bent and one leg straight. We're going to play with some asymmetry in this releasing sequence as well today, because a lot of the movements we do in daily life, like reaching for something and walking, are asymmetrical. So as we learn through paying attention and through doing these different things, our body has often adopted an asymmetrical posture to some extent. And that's completely normal. And it also means that it's sometimes useful to do things symmetrically to recreate a bit of balance, and to do things asymmetrically because one part of the body, one side of the body might need a releasing exercise or a strengthening exercise more than the other. So as always, the answer to what's the right practice is it depends. And it's really for you to learn how to choose with some guidance and some information at your fingertips. So starting in the lying down posture that works for you just now, if possible with a ball within reach, a tennis ball, a massage ball, a dryer ball, about the size of a tennis ball is usually quite good for most people. It can be smaller too. It can be the size of a golf ball perhaps, something like that. So as you come to lying down, noticing your body's relationship to the floor. We're usually in relationship to the ground, directly or indirectly. We're in relationship with gravity. Gravity, one of my teachers says, is like our dance partner. We're dancing with it and we don't think about that. It's kind of automatic because we were born on this planet where gravity exists. And nevertheless, we can become more conscious of that relationship and work with it more consciously as well, as you might do in partner dance. So noticing which parts of your body are closer to the floor, which parts of your body are further away from the floor. And I've invited you to either bend your knees or straighten your legs. And I'm also inviting you now to choose a position for your arms and hands that feels conducive to relaxing your shoulders and your neck. And we'll come back to these positions a few times throughout the class so you can check in again if anything changes. And then for a few moments you can focus on your breathing. And you might like to blow out very gently through slightly pursed lips, as if you're blowing away a little feather away from your face. And you might bring a sort of childlike quality to this, a playful quality, very gently imagining you're blowing away a little feather to stop it from falling on your face and tickling your lips or the tip of your nose. And this is extending your exhalation and probably making your exhalation more complete. And this helps your diaphragm to relax, to completely release back up into the chest cavity, which is its most relaxed position. And at that point, it also exerts less pull on your spine. It's attached to your spine, it's attached to your breastbone, and everything's connected anyway, but those places are quite important. So at that point, you might feel that your relationship to the ground slightly changes as well. So noticing what your body is doing, what you're doing with your body via your breathing. At the end of the exhale, what changes at the back of your body in relationship to the floor. And then what changes when you breathe in again. You may be noticing a tiny wave of movement, which you might sense originates from your middle back, which is where the diaphragm attaches to the inside of the spine. Maybe a slight tilting of your back might be going out into the shoulders and up to the head. It might be going down to the sacrum, just from this breathing practice. And if you notice more stuff on the front of the body or the side, whatever you're noticing, that's what's happening for you. Every body is different. And then letting your breathing relax. Sometimes these stronger breathing practices can have quite an effect on how we are. Might get a little lightheaded or something, so no need to do them for too long. And then we'll make a small movement, explore a small movement again. As always, only doing movements that work for you, making them smaller if they're not working for you. Visualizing is an option, so that works really well too. So for this one, bending your knees if you haven't already. Noticing where it feels right for you to place your feet, to be able to relax your thighs, to have a sense of your knees being upright in a balanced way. And then on an out breath, drawing your lower back curve towards the floor, and on an in-breath, arching it away from the floor. So you're tipping your sacrum and your pelvis. And again, this might create a wave of movement that you can feel further up in your back, maybe even your neck, maybe even your head. And I'd like you to do less than you know you could do. So in releasing old patterns, it's often helpful to do, say, 50% of a movement. Especially if you've been doing yoga a long time, you're probably trained to stretch to the max, to make your forward bend as big as you can, your backward bend as big as you can. It's actually not always helpful. Doing 50% of what you can certainly more helpful if the aim is to release, to reduce tension, to notice subtlety, to imprint in our nervous system that we don't have to go to extremes to benefit ourselves. On the contrary, often that's not helpful. So doing half of what you could do with this movement. Then making the movement smaller, even smaller. And even smaller. Until you're only thinking about it, until you're only imagining you're still doing it. And at that point, you might notice there's still a hint of this movement, even when we're just thinking about it, just imagining it or visualizing ourselves doing it. So perhaps that gives you a felt sense that visualization works, that imagination works. And noticing your relationship with the ground again. And then straightening both legs. Noticing your relationship with the ground, with both legs straight. Can you fully relax your limbs? And then sliding one leg back in towards you, sliding the other leg back in towards you. Back to this mini bridge. And then popping the ball underneath your right buttock. So you can do a mini bridge and just lifting and then lowering yourself back onto the ball if you've got one. If not, you can do this without the ball. It's absolutely fine. And then again, allowing your weight to really drop into that ball. Again, you could take a few of these out breaths through slightly pursed lips, as if you're blowing a little feather away from your face. Noticing how your relationship with the ground changes and how your weight might feel different on the ground as you breathe out and back in again. Just a few, and then you can just be aware as we do this little sequence, a bit more of this sequence, of your exhalations and of the opportunity to change your relationship with gravity by the way that you breathe. You breathe out more fully and so on. And letting your right knee slightly move from side to side so that you can feel the weight going through the ball or the floor, redistributing itself, and still continuing with this idea of allowing your hip to be heavy. You could place a hand on the front of your hip, allowing your foot to take weight too, of course, gently releasing. And of course, we're doing a hip opening here too, hip rotation. And then you can see if it feels good to let your knee release out to the side. You could pop a hand made into a fist under the top of your thigh as well, or perhaps a cushion, if you don't want your knee to go lower too much to the floor, if that's not comfortable. See if you can relax there. So you can change the position of your foot as well, by the way, see what works for you. And your other foot stays on the floor with the other knee upright. Again, exhale to release. Then bringing the knee back up and in towards you for a moment, gently hugging it in towards your body. A few times. You can do the hugging in on an out breath. Then placing the foot back on the floor and letting the foot slide away, so resting on the ball with the legs straight. You could place your hand again on the top of your hip, maybe press down on your hip and seeing how that feels. And then noticing your opposite shoulder, your left shoulder on the floor. I'd also like you to really relax your right shoulder, maybe choose a different position for your hand, for your right hand. That helps you to relax your right shoulder. And inviting you to choose a different position for your left arm, possibly above shoulder level, so you're starting to create a diagonal line from your left hand to your right foot, as if you've drawn the first line of a cross. Now your foot and hand don't have to be in alignment with each other. It might not be super comfortable for you. So maybe your hand is more at shoulder level. Maybe your elbow needs to bend. In any case, a sense of groundedness from your left hand all the way to your right foot, and the hip releasing onto the ball. Taking 3 full out breaths there again, with the idea of letting go in your mind. And when you've done 3 breaths, bending your knee, remove the ball. You can let it rest on your hand, on the palm of your hand, resting your arms on the floor. Let the ball rest in the palm of your hand. Check how your relationship with the ground is now through your hips and your shoulders. Straighten your legs for a moment and notice how your relationship with the ground is. Noticing whether the hand with the ball on it feels a little different in relationship to the floor compared to the hand that doesn't. And then bending your knees again and popping the ball underneath the other buttock. Taking a moment to relax there. Breathing out fully a few times to encourage your hips to be heavy. Perhaps blowing out through pursed lips. Can you relax your hip flexor on the front of your right hip? Sometimes mine goes into slight spasms. Might help to change the position of your foot. And then starting with these small movements of letting your knee go from side to side. Start really small. Again, doing less than you know you could do. Keep your mind's eye on your hip flexor and releasing and relaxing through the hip. Can you move your knee from side to side in a smooth way? If there's a little bit of judderiness, can you even that out? And it's a work in progress, right? So you might continue to feel a bit juddery, and that's okay. If it feels nice, make the movement a little bigger. We're also looking to kind of follow pleasure when we're wanting to release tension. Doing things that feel enjoyable is really, really helpful. So doing less if there's pain or discomfort. And then seeing if it's comfortable to release your knee to the side, your left knee, maybe propping up your thigh with your fist or another prop like a cushion. You might need to change the position of your left foot slightly to be more comfortable. And then again, 3 breaths or so of breathing out fully whilst relaxing the whole body, and especially the left hip and leg. Bringing the knee back up and then in towards you. A few micro movements of bringing the knee in towards the body and away from the body. And then bringing the foot back down, letting the foot slide away, straightening the left leg, checking the position of your right foot still feels helpful. You can change that at any time. Encourage your left leg to relax, maybe stroking or pressing down on the front of the hip there. And then bringing the opposite arm to the straight leg, slightly above shoulder level if that's comfortable, releasing both shoulders, maybe changing the position of your left arm as well. The arms don't need to be symmetrical. And then for a few breaths, grounding, releasing towards the ground through that diagonal line from your left foot to your right hand. And then bending the knee again, removing the ball, placing the ball in the other hand where you didn't have it the first time. Noticing your relationship with the ground through the whole of the back of the body. Has it changed? And straightening the legs, and checking in with your relationship to the ground again. And bending the knees again, hugging both knees in towards you. 3 micro movements of the knees in towards the chest and away from the chest. Feeling into your lower back. And then keeping your lower back in close contact to the floor as you slowly lower your feet back to the ground with bent knees. And feeling the core engage and relax when your feet land. And then let's come back to the movement of flattening the lower back and arching the lower back. Placing your hands wherever you like on the floor. Making the movement a little bit bigger if you like, from 50% to maybe 75%. Feeling the wave of movement through your spine. And then on the flattening of the curve of the lower back, breathe out through slightly pursed lips. Breathing in when you arch. Noticing what changes about the movements. If anything. And then letting that go. Resting. Straightening your legs if you wish. how are you feeling now in relationship to the ground and gravity, and also within yourself? Notice how you are. And then as you conclude this practice, noticing how you are in your next few movements, I invite you to come up to sitting, slowly, mindfully, noticing how you are in your body. Take your time. When you're ready to come up to standing, and notice how that is.